Imagine this: a broke 12-year-old kid, one sandwich away from hunger, stops on a dusty road to help a stranger change a tire. 24 hours later, a black SUV rolls up to his crumbling house and changes his life forever. Stay with me, because this true feeling story will wreck you, lift you, and leave you believing in kindness again. Hit that bell, grab tissues, and let's roll. The sun was a white coin nailed to a July sky when Eli Carter heard the hiss. He was biking home from the corner store, $2 in his pocket and a loaf of old bread in his backpack. His mom's dinner plan. The hiss came from the shoulder of Route 17, where a silver Bentley sat crooked like a wounded bird. Steam curled from under the hood, but the real problem was the rear tire, shredded and flapping like a dying fish. A man stood beside it in a suit too expensive for the heat. Mid-50s. Salt and pepper hair. The kind of face you see on the covers of magazines. Eli's mom used to read before the medical bills swallowed every extra cent. The man yanked at the spare tire well, cursing softly in a voice that sounded like money. Eli coasted to a stop. "Need a hand, mister?" The man looked up, startled. "Kid, this isn't a toy. Go home." Eli's stomach twisted. Home was a trailer with a leaking roof and an eviction notice taped to the door. But he didn't move. "I've changed more bike tires than I can count. Cars ain't that different." The man opened his mouth to argue, then saw the grease already under Eli's fingernails and the quiet steadiness in the boy's eyes. Something shifted. "All right, grease monkey. Show me." 20 sweaty minutes later the spare was on, the jack lowered, and the man's Italian loafers were dusted with red Georgia clay. He wiped his brow with a monogrammed handkerchief, initials RMV, and studied Eli like he was a puzzle. "You got a name?" "Eli Carter, sir." "Robert Montgomery Vanderbilt," the man said, offering a hand still trembling from the heat. "Most people would have kept riding. Most people ain't got a mom who taught 'em better." Robert laughed, a short surprise bark. He reached for his wallet. Thick as a sandwich. Eli stepped back. "Don't need pay. Just glad you're not stuck." Robert's eyes narrowed, not anger, but curiosity. He slipped a business card into Eli's palm instead. "If you ever need anything, kid." "Anything." Eli tucked it into his sock because his jeans had no pockets left. He biked away without looking back, bread bouncing against his spine. Robert watched until the boy was a speck, then climbed into the Bentley and drove off, the card's absence burning a hole in his wallet. The next morning smelled like rain and panic. Ella's mom, Lena, sat at the kitchen table, really a card table with one wobbly leg, counting pills into a weekly organizer. Chemo tomorrow. Rent due yesterday. She hadn't slept. The circles under her eyes were darker than the coffee she couldn't afford. Eli poured cereal with water because the milk was gone. He was trying to figure out how to tell her. He'd seen the eviction notice when tires crunched on gravel outside. A black SUV, tinted windows, engine humming like a sleeping dragon. Parked in their dirt patch of a driveway. The neighbor's dog went ballistic. Lena's hand flew to her throat. "Eli, get behind me." The driver's door opened. A woman in a navy suit stepped out. Heels clicking like punctuation marks. She carried a tablet, not a gun. Behind her, the rear door opened and Robert Montgomery Vanderbilt unfolded himself into the Georgia morning. Sunglasses reflecting their sagging trailer like a cruel mirror. "Morning, Eli," he called, voice warm as fresh bread. Eli's heart tried to exit through his ears. Lena gripped his shoulder hard enough to bruise. "Who are you people?" Robert removed the sunglasses. Up close, Eli saw the worry lines he'd missed yesterday, the kind that come from boardrooms and bad diagnoses. "Mom, your son saved me a lot of trouble. I'm here to return the favor." The woman tapped her tablet. "Full scholarship to St. Augustine Academy. Tuition, books, uniforms, transportation. Effective immediately." She turned to Lena. "And your outstanding medical balance at Emory. Paid in full. Plus a trust for future treatments." Lena's knees buckled. Ely caught her before she hit the linoleum. She was shaking so hard the pill organizer rattled. This is a mistake, she whispered. No mistake, Robert said softly. He knelt eye level with Ely. You gave me your time when you had none to spare. Time's the one thing money can't buy back. Let me give you some. Ely looked at the SUV. At his mom's tears cutting clean lines through the dust on her cheeks, at the business card now trembling in his fingers. Why us? Robert's smile was small and sad. Because 25 years ago, a kid on a bike stopped for my dad when his tire blew. Dad promised he'd pay it forward. He died before he could. I'm late, but I'm keeping his promise. Lena sobbed once, a sound like a dam breaking. Ely hugged her so tight he felt her ribs. The neighbors peeked through curtains, jaws unhinged. St. Augustine Academy smelled like lemon polish and privilege. Ely's new uniform itched, the tie felt like a noose. Kids with last names that belonged on buildings stared at the scholarship kid who arrived in a black SUV. Whispers followed him down marble halls. Trailer park. Charity case. Who's his sugar daddy? First period was calculus. Ely took the back row, notebook open to a page already filled with yesterday's grocery list on the back. The teacher called on him anyway. Mr. Carter, care to solve for X? The equation on the board was brutal. Ely's bike shop math. How many spokes per wheel times profit margin? Hadn't prepared him for this. The room tittered. He stood. His voice cracked but didn't break. Can I use the whiteboard? 3 minutes later the answer glowed in blue marker. Steps neat as soldiers. The teacher's eyebrows tried to escape into her hairline. Where'd you learn that? My mom taught me to break big problems into small ones you can carry. Word spread. By lunch. The richest kid in school. Willa Hargrove, heiress to a chicken nugget empire. Slid her tray across from Ely's. Heard you fixed Vanderbilt's Bentley with a rock and spit. That true. Ely shrugged. Rock was for leverage. Spit was accidental. Willa laughed so hard milk came out her nose. She became his first friend. But friendship didn't pay the emotional rent. At night Ely biked the 3 miles from the academy to the trailer park to check on his mom. Chimo left her curled on the couch like a question mark. Some nights she didn't recognize him. He learned to cook oatmeal with water and cinnamon. To read her temperature by the heat of her forehead against his cheek. One Thursday she was too weak to lift the spoon. Ely sat on the floor. Feeding her like she used to feed him when he was 5. We're gonna beat this, he whispered. We have to. Outside, the black SUV idled. The driver, Marcus, had become a fixture, quiet, kind. Always there with a thermos of soup. Ely never asked how Robert knew which nights were the worst. He just accepted the grace. Spring senior year, the dogwoods bloomed like applause. Ely stood at the podium in a cap and gown that no longer itched, valedictorian cords heavy on his shoulders. Below, his mom sat in the front row. Hair growing back in soft curls, cheeks round again. Robert Vanderbilt occupied the seat beside her, eyes suspiciously shiny. Ely's speech was short. They say it takes a village. Mine was one kid on a bike, one stranger with a flat tire. And a mom who never stopped fighting. Kindness isn't a transaction, it's a relay. You catch it, you carry it, you pass it on. The audience rose. Willa whooped so loud her nugget empire probably felt it in stock prices. After graduation, Robert pulled Ely aside under the magnolia tree. MIT wants you. Full ride, plus a research stipend. But there's something else. He handed over a set of keys. Ely looked down. Bentley keys. Not new, same scuff on the fob from the jack handle. She's yours, Robert said. Dad's car. He'd want you to have her. Ely's throat closed. I can't. You can. And you will. Because one day another kid on a bike will need to believe the world still has flat tires worth stopping for. That summer Ely taught driver's ed at the local boys' club. Free lessons, no questions asked. The Bentley's back seat became a mobile classroom. Marcus chauffeured the kids whose parents worked doubles. Willa funded the gas. Years later, when Eli's own startup built affordable prosthetics for kids like the ones his mom once shared a cancer ward with, the first prototype was tested on a girl who'd changed his tire in a rainstorm. She was 12. Grace under her nails. Eli knelt, eye level. Got a name. Mia. Well, Mia, most people would have kept walking. She grinned. Most people ain't got a mom who taught 'em better. Eli slipped a business card into her sock. Because some jeans still don't have pockets. And watched her bike away. The relay torch passed, burning bright. That flat tire wasn't an interruption. It was an invitation. Eli's still out there, somewhere between a lab and a roadside, proving one act of kindness can outrun any algorithm. So here's my ask. Next time you see someone stuck, be the reason a black SUV shows up at a stranger's door. Drop your own kindness story in the comments. I read every single one. Smash subscribe. Because the world's full of flat tires. And we're the ones with the lug wrench. See you in the next one.